If you are still holding out hope that the recent dust settling over our favorite town means a triumphant, unchallenged return to glory for our resident mob boss, I am here to tell you to prepare for a brutal, earth-shattering reality check. Many of you are sitting there, watching the screen, believing that with the chaotic threat of gens finally neutralized and the highly anticipated return of Jason from the clutches of his captors, the golden era of Sonny is about to be magically restored. You might be pouring your coffee, smiling at the thought of Sonny reclaiming his undisputed throne, ruling the underworld with his loyal enforcer by his side, just like the good old days. But let me be painfully clear, this is not a fairy tale, and the peace we are witnessing is nothing more than a deceptive, fragile illusion. The writers are lulling us into a false sense of security, setting the stage for a catastrophic downfall that nobody is seeing coming. If you think the worst is over, you are blinding yourself to the shadows gathering right outside the city limits. Right now, the narrative wants us to believe that Sonny is untouchable. With Jens completely out of the picture and his intricate web of chaos dismantled, the streets seem eerily quiet. Sonny is likely sitting in his dimly lit office, swirling his expensive drink, taking a deep breath of relief. He believes the board is clear and that he has outsmarted every single adversary who dared to cross his path. We have watched this man operate for decades, and we know his patterns intimately. Whenever he eliminates a massive threat, he enters a phase of dangerous overconfidence. He assumes that his reputation alone is enough to keep the wolves at bay. But if you ask me, this hubris is exactly what will engineer his ultimate destruction. The calm we are experiencing right now is not the end of the war. It is merely the eye of the hurricane, and the back half of the storm is going to be infinitely more devastating. Let us talk about the first massive domino that is poised to fall, and it involves the very man everyone assumes will be Sonny's salvation, Jason. For years, Jason has been the impenetrable shield, the lethal enforcer who executed orders without hesitation. But we have to look at the psychological toll the recent events have taken on him. Jason has been held captive, manipulated, and forced to cover up unimaginable crimes to protect his son. He is not the same robotic enforcer he was a decade ago. What if Jason returns, looks around at the endless bloodshed, and decides he simply cannot do it anymore? Imagine the absolute shockwaves if Jason walks into that office, looks his best friend in the eye, and refuses to pick up his gun. This is the catalyst for the entire collapse. If Jason steps back, refusing to participate in the violence, the impenetrable armor surrounding Sonny instantly shatters. This hesitation from Jason is not just a minor inconvenience, it is a fatal vulnerability. Sonny relies on the fear that Jason's name strikes into the hearts of his enemies. Without his right-hand man standing guard, Sonny is suddenly a king without his most lethal knight. And in the ruthless world of organized crime, weakness is blood in the water. Sonny might try to mask his panic, projecting strength to his subordinates, but the truth will leak out. The whispers will start in the warehouses and the docks. The realization that the great enforcer is no longer protecting the throne will spread like wildfire. This is where the domino effect truly begins to accelerate, tearing down everything Sonny has spent his entire life building. Now, who is waiting in the shadows to capitalize on this exact moment of weakness? If you have been paying attention to the glaring absences on our screens, you already know the answer. It is Selina. We have not seen her face in quite some time, and the writers have purposefully kept her off the canvas. Some fans might think she simply faded into obscurity or retreated in defeat. But guys, we know Selina better than that. She is a master of patience, a brilliant tactician who operates entirely in the shadows. Her absence is not a retreat, it is a calculated, strategic withdrawal. I am entirely convinced that she has been using this time away to meticulously craft a hidden agenda that will blindside everyone in town. While Sonny was distracted, fighting petty turf wars and dealing with the explosive fallout from gens, Selina has likely been on the West Coast, quietly expanding her empire. She is not just surviving, she is thriving. I suspect she has been building a massive, highly organized syndicate far away from Sonny's watchful eyes. She has been recruiting young, hungry, and ruthless soldiers who have absolutely no fear of the old guard. More importantly, she has likely been forging an unholy alliance with rival factions and international players who have always wanted a piece of the East Coast territory. Selina is gathering an army, and she has been waiting for the exact perfect moment to strike. That perfect moment is right now. Selina's spies are undoubtedly embedded deeply within the city, monitoring every single move. The second they report that Jason is hesitant and Sonny is vulnerable, Selina will initiate her master plan. This will not be a loud, messy street war. Selina is far too elegant and deadly for that. She will utilize a deeply manipulative scheme to dismantle Sonny's infrastructure from the inside out. Imagine her quietly buying off Sonny's corrupt politicians, bribing the police officials on his payroll, and offering his key distributors a much better, more lucrative deal. Before Sonny even realizes he is under attack, his entire foundation will have been hollowed out. As Selina's manipulative scheme takes hold, the next domino falls: the betrayal of allies. In this world, loyalty is only as strong as the fear that enforces it. If the fear of Jason is gone, and Selina is offering wealth and power, how many of Sonny's trusted lieutenants will defect? We could see characters like Ava, who always follows the power and the money, suddenly shifting their allegiances. Ava could easily strike a secret deal with Selina, providing her with the gallery as a front or giving her access to elite social circles. Sonny will find himself standing in an empty room, shouting orders to ghosts, completely isolated and utterly powerless to stop the bleeding of his territory. This is where the vicious cycle of mob violence comes back to haunt every single person connected to the Legacy family. When the infrastructure collapses, the civilian collateral damage becomes catastrophic. Sonny's enemies will no longer respect the unspoken rules of engagement. If Selina decides to apply maximum pressure, she will target the one thing Sonny values above all else: his family. Carly, despite her fierce independence, will instantly be dragged right back into the deadly crossfire. The children, who have been shielded by the illusion of their father's omnipotence, will suddenly find themselves with targets on their backs. Imagine the sheer terror as Carly realizes the security detail is gone, the safe houses are compromised, and the enemies are literally at the gates. The Legacy family will be pushed to the absolute brink of extinction. Carly might have to take desperate, unthinkable measures to protect her children, perhaps even reaching out to international contacts or making deals with the devil herself. The emotional devastation will be unparalleled. Sonny will be forced to watch as his inability to maintain his empire puts every single person he loves in mortal danger. The guilt and the helplessness will mentally break him long before Selina ever fires a single bullet. But let us dive even deeper into Selina's psychology, because her hidden agenda is not just about acquiring territory. It is about total, humiliating domination. Selina has always resented the patriarchal structure of the underworld. She has hated having to ask Sonny for permission, playing second fiddle to a man she believes is emotionally volatile and strategically inferior. She does not just want to defeat him, she wants to utterly humiliate him. She wants to sit at the head of his table, drink from his glass, and force him to witness her crowning as the undisputed, absolute queen of the underworld. To achieve this, her manipulative scheme will likely involve framing Sonny for crimes he did not commit, freezing his offshore accounts, and systematically destroying his public business fronts. She will strip him of his wealth, his reputation, and his freedom. By the time she finally steps out of the shadows and reveals herself to him, he will have absolutely nothing left to fight with. The confrontation between them would be legendary, a masterclass in psychological warfare, where Selina calmly explains exactly how she orchestrated his demise while he was too busy celebrating his hollow victory over Jens. And what about Jason in all of this? This is where the tragedy deepens. If Jason truly stepped away to break the vicious cycle, watching his best friend's empire burn and his family face assassination attempts will tear him apart. He will be forced into an impossible moral dilemma. Does he abandon his newfound peace and plunge back into the darkness to save Sonny? Or does he stand firm in his decision, knowing it means the death of the Legacy family? Selina is banking on Jason staying out of it, but if she pushes too hard, she might inadvertently awaken the sleeping giant. However, if my theory holds, by the time Jason realizes the severity of the threat, Selina's unholy alliance will have already fortified the city, making any rescue mission a suicide run. The writers have been setting up this massive power vacuum for months. The constant pressure on Sonny, his erratic behavior, his alienation of key allies, it has all been a meticulously crafted prelude to this exact scenario. We are meant to feel relief right now, to believe that the return of Jason is the ultimate fix-all. But in the grand tradition of this genre, the moment you feel safe is the exact moment the knife slips between your ribs. Selina's return from the West Coast, backed by an army and a flawless strategy, would be the most spectacular twist of the decade. It flips the entire dynamic of the show, removing the invincible armor from our leading man and placing a brilliant, calculating woman at the absolute pinnacle of power. So, as we watch the upcoming episodes, pay very close attention to the quiet moments. Look for the subtle hesitation in Jason's eyes when violence is mentioned. Watch for the slight, arrogant smirk on Sonny's face as he claims his territory is secure. And most importantly, listen for the whispers from the West Coast. The dominoes are already lined up, and Selina's fingers hovering right over the first one. The destruction of the Corinthos Empire might not be a sudden explosion, but a slow, agonizing suffocation orchestrated by a ghost they all forgot to fear. Will this nightmare scenario unfold exactly as I have predicted? Will Jason truly abandon his posts, leaving his brother completely defenseless? Will Selina finally achieve her lifelong ambition and crush the Legacy family into dust? Or will Sonny find one last, desperate trick up his sleeve to survive the onslaught? When the dust finally settles, and the true queen of the underworld steps into the light, will Sonny even have the strength left to bow? Or will this be the final, tragic end of his reign?